Hey guys, I'm going to do a quick review on the filter that we're using on this 29-gallon planted freshwater aquarium. It is the Penn Plax Cascade 200. You do not see many videos on YouTube about the Cascade 200, even though it's been around for a very long time. I'm not really sure why more people don't use it, and I'm going to explain why I like it. Number one is it's super quiet. You could hardly hear it. Now, compared to the Aqua Clears, when a lot of people complain that it's super loud, this one is super quiet. So I love that fact. So when you're sitting down, all you hear is the water, coming down, cascading down, and you do not hear the pump. I mean, really, nothing. So that's one of the things I like about this filter. The other one is price. You're talking $24 to $26 on Amazon. That's super cheap compared to an Aqua Clear. I think Aqua Clear 50 goes for about $38 if I'm not mistaken. Haven't really looked it up, but from the back of my mind, I think that's what it was. But with this Penn Plax Cascade, you could modify this to make it just as good as an Aqua Clear. The first thing I suggest doing is putting on a sponge pre-filter. I got these off of eBay. I think it was about $8 for an 8-pack, something like that, which is pretty cheap. These filters do have a hole that go through the bottom, so when you're putting it on, there will be a hole on the bottom of the of the filter. So if you have really small fish or you're breeding and you have fry, they will get sucked up there, and they are going to go right through that intake tube and get chopped up in the impeller, which you do not want. So first thing to do to modify this filter would be get the pre-filters. It's a great surface area for biological bacteria to grow on, and it also, it'll get the particulate matter out of your water. As you can see, I'm already building up a nice thick amount of material on there, so I'm going to probably clean that within the next week or two. And let's look on the inside of this filter. That's your standard hang on the back filter. You have an intake, you have a knob here that you could control the flow, turn it down or turn it up. I usually leave it close to the top. With hang on the back filters, you gotta understand it, manufacturers love to make money off of these because they don't want to sell it for $26 and then that's the end of that. They want you to keep buying something for it. So what they do is they include these little, filter pads that go inside. They usually contain some carbon, and within 3 weeks, 4 weeks max, they're usually clogged up and you have to replace them again. And guess what? They cost money. They could cost, $6 for a pack of 2, so $3 a pop, or even more than that. I'm not really sure how much they are for this particular filter because I don't use them. Once I opened up the box, I threw them out. Although I did use one of them, as you can see right there. Oh, right there. Okay, so let me explain what I did also to modify this to increase the capacity of this filter. So if you could see, I added some ceramic bio rings. I filled up the whole container, the whole compartment. And what this does is it creates a large amount of surface area for the bacteria to adhere to. And the more bacteria, good bacteria that you could have in your tank, the better. Now, as you know, bacteria does not stick to the water column. It does not stay in the water. It has to stick to something. And what it does is it'll stick to your rocks, your substrate, and filter pads, and the biological rings. So what I did was I loaded it up, and then I took one of the filters that actually came in the box and I used it along the top here. So I have the pre-filter on the intake tube coming up, which already filters out a lot of gunk. And it comes through and filters up through the bio rings, and the biological filtration happens. And then it'll actually do a little other pre-filter again, come out to this little cascade thing that can be removed. I left it in there. It creates a little effect. Supposedly, Penn Plax says that this creates more biological filtration. I can't attest to that. But water comes up through the column, through the pad, and then cascades back down into the tank. So For 24 to 26 bucks, I think it's a super deal. I really do. It's really quiet, affordable, and with a couple of bucks extra for some modifications, you have yourself a solid filter. Now, AquaClear is the de facto standard of hang-on-the-back filters. Almost all aquarists use them, but I do hear that they are loud, and some people complain. But this one, not loud. Super quiet. The AquaClears do have an advantage over this Penn Plax, where the box on the back is wider. So I think the Penn Plax, the AquaClear 50 or the 70, I think it's the 50, you're probably getting another inch, if I'm not mistaken, where you could put more biological filtration there. So you could probably put a sponge at the bottom, then some bio rings, and then maybe some chemical filtration, if that's what you're into, you could put on the top here. But for my purposes, for a 29-gallon tank, this is a great filter. It's rated up to 55 gallons. I personally don't think it should be used on a 55-gallon tank unless maybe you're going to use 2 of them. I would say from 29 to a 40-gallon breeder would be max for this filter. So that's it. I think if you're looking for a cheap filter, economical, quiet, and with a couple of modifications, you can make this thing into a pretty good powerhouse for 26 bucks. I'd say buy the Penn Plax Cascade 200. Super quiet, super affordable. Go get it. Gets a thumbs up from me.